I've lost count of how many times I've had to troubleshoot access issues for. But now, with Amazon S3 access grants available in the AWS European Sovereign Cloud, Germany, region, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. As an AWS professional, you know that managing permissions and access control is one of the most critical tasks when it comes to securing your cloud infrastructure. With millions of S3 buckets out there, ensuring that only authorized users have access to sensitive data is essential. But did you know that implementing IAM policies can be as much as 30% more complex than it needs to be? That's why I'm excited to share this game-changing update with you. Amazon S3 access grants allow you to grant temporary, fine-grained permissions to specific resources within your S3 bucket, without having to create an entire new policy. This means that developers can now access the resources they need without compromising security, and administrators can focus on what matters most, monitoring and optimizing their cloud infrastructure. In my view, this update is a significant improvement over traditional IAM policies, which often lead to permission creep, where users are granted more access than needed, just in case. With access grants, you can now grant exactly what's required for each task, reducing the risk of unauthorized access. Let's take an example. Suppose you're building a web application that requires read-only access to your S3 bucket for image uploads. Traditionally, you would create an IAM policy and attach it to the EC2 instance running your app. But with access grants, you can now create a temporary grant specifically for this task, without having to modify your existing policies. I think one of the biggest benefits of access grants is that they're fully integrated with AWS services like Lambda and API Gateway, making it easier than ever to secure your serverless applications. What I learned from working with early access customers is that this feature can simplify even the most complex access control scenarios. Now, here's what most tutorials don't tell you. Access grants aren't just limited to S3 buckets, they're also available for other AWS services like EBS and EC2. This means that you can now grant temporary permissions to resources across multiple services, without having to manage separate policies for each one. But wait, there's more. As an AWS professional, you know how important it is to stay up to date with the latest security best practices. With access grants available in the European Sovereign Cloud, Germany, region, you can now ensure that your cloud infrastructure meets even the most stringent regulatory requirements. In my experience, implementing S3 access grants has saved me at least 2 hours of troubleshooting time per week. That's a significant productivity boost for any AWS administrator. And with this new update, I'm confident that you'll see similar results in your own environment. So what does this mean for your AWS certification prep? If you're studying for the SAAC 03 exam, you should definitely review access grants as part of your study plan. And if you're preparing for the SAPC 02 or DOPC 02 exams, don't worry, this update is still relevant to your goals. In conclusion, Amazon S3 access grants are a game changer for any AWS professional looking to simplify access control and improve security in their cloud infrastructure. I highly recommend trying them out in your AWS sandbox today to see the benefits for yourself.